Is your state becoming too liberal for your conservative values?
There's one Republican who said he is done with California and decided to move to Texas.
We're all familiar with the California exodus, where people from California, specifically business people, specifically more conservative business people, thought that moving to Texas would solve all of their problems. And they thought that largely because people like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan told them that Texas was better than California. Well, that is starting to backfire now, as we're seeing a bit of a reverse exodus, or at least some buyer's remorse, particularly among the comedians who followed Joe Rogan to Austin. So as a Texan, this is something that I have been paying somewhat close attention to. I'm not a native Texan, but I've been here for way too long. So it is technically my home, but I still feel kind of like I view it like an outsider. I'm not emotionally attached to this place. Honestly, I'm trying to not even be physically attached to it either. But I do have to laugh when people move from California to Texas and can't believe that Texas is not California. Like, really, why did any of them expect that? The Houston Chronicle recently reported that several comedians/podcasters, including Brendan Schaub, Tim Dillon, and Shane Gillis, moved here expecting some anti-woke utopia and just got Texas instead. Schaub said, "I miss my community and my routine." He recalled a conversation with a fellow LA to Texas transplant who told Schaub that Austin is no LA. Dillon called Austin a horrible city without a soul. It's a soulless city that should be burned to the ground, and everyone that lives here should be summarily executed, Dillon joked. It is not the live music capital of America. It's 3 heroin addicts busking with guitars. There is 0 talent here in any capacity. There's 3 restaurants that are good, and I've been to all of them twice. So I think that's a bit of an unfair characterization, and I don't even like this place, but I will give you my thoughts on that later. For now, let's just say that Austin isn't what it used to be, and maybe people like Tim Dillon moving in are part of the reason as to why that is. And Shane Gillis said in June, "Texas effing blows," recalling a storm that left his Austin home without power for 3 days. "It's hot as F. The second we ran out of power, the house was 90 degrees and bugs came in immediately." Yeah, I feel like people don't talk about the bugs enough. And Mark Normand, who is from New Orleans, so at least he should be used to like the humidity, he said this about Austin last year: "That city is a boiling pot of evil goo just circling a dish." Again, maybe a little bit dramatic, but here is what gets me. People from around the globe flock to California because it has some of the best weather and the best scenery on the planet, right? It's got plenty of options for people living various lifestyles. You've got mountains and ocean. You've got hiking, surfing, and several major industries. It's not perfect, but nowhere is. And if you can afford it, I don't know why most people wouldn't want to live there or in a place like that. I'm not even particularly obsessed with LA, but whenever I go there, I have to admit I get the appeal. What was interesting, though, was when comedians started coming here from there. As someone who works in media and lives in Texas, this is not the hub for that kind of work. I don't have much of a community here. Networking with people in California is very difficult when you're an entire plane ride away. It'd be a lot easier for me to do my job if I was in the studio in LA with the rest of the TYT team, but no, I'm here. For comedians, like, yeah, we have some comedy clubs here, but we're not known for that. People aren't getting scouted for SNL in comedy clubs in Texas, at least not that I'm aware of, or not in any kind of meaningful way. Anyway, I live in Houston, which is not bad, but there's not a whole lot here for people who work outside of certain industries. Great if you work in oil and gas, great if you work in the medical field, great if you work within the NASA bubble, maybe decent if you work in tech, for now at least. I would say that those are the major industries here, and Houston, rightfully so, attracts a lot of people with those jobs. Austin, however, is supposed to be the LA of Texas. It's not, but that's the perception for a lot of people. Its sister city is actually Portland, Oregon, but it's often compared to LA in terms of it being the creative center of Texas. It's the bluest dot in all of Texas, even though its political gerrymandering is actually obnoxious, and even though most major metropolitan areas of Texas are also blue and very heavily gerrymandered. But Austin is, that's where the cool kids go. It's got more nature than Houston or Dallas, so you can do some cool things like paddleboarding on Lady Bird, or hiking through the hill country, or floating the Guadalupe. There are wineries out there, great for a romantic getaway or a girls trip maybe. There are music and art festivals, people like those. Lots of good antiquing out that way too. But at the heart of it, it's still Texas. And I like Austin as much as anyone. I'm not trying to dog on Austin, but what's annoying is the people who blew into the city, supplanted the existing culture, drove home prices and cost of living way up, and then decided it was lame and left. It never occurred to them that the lame they were experiencing was just them. So they can escape Austin, but they can't escape themselves. Politically speaking, I can't tell if this is like, what is it, white privilege or male privilege, or just maybe the privilege of living in a blue state where you just assume that life everywhere else is at least comparable. But we see reports of people who leave California for Texas only to be surprised that yes, this is a red state that is run by a deeply red state government. And yes, aspects of that can and will and do seep into your life. I'm not sure why they didn't think that would be a problem before they moved here, but I assume it's one of those things where you don't know how good you've got it until you don't got it anymore. Also, some people have noticed that Texans don't seem to be very welcoming or accepting of people from California. Again, not sure why that's surprising. Texans are not subtle about the fact that they are not happy about all of the Californians moving here. They have bumper stickers on their trucks that say, "Don't California my Texas." They are telling you explicitly that they don't like Californians in Texas. But the irony of them saying Texas is just not cool just demonstrates their own lack of self-awareness. For example, NASA is objectively one of the coolest things about Houston or Texas or even the country. Which kid didn't grow up fascinated by space or wanting to be or even just meet an astronaut? I live right by NASA, and a lot of the people who live around here are employed somewhere within that NASA ecosystem. But with all due respect to the institution of NASA and the people who work there, it's kind of become less cool to work there lately. NASA operates under the looming threat of defunding, which is not necessarily anything new, but recently that's resulted in NASA and other adjacent programs having to rely on private funding. And where is that money coming from? From Silicon Valley, weirdo billionaires from California. NASA and space exploration, or just proximity to the space industry, has become a vanity project for various California industrialists. So what made NASA less cool? California did. Look, I respect the people of Texas. There are good people here. I don't drive with the culture much, but I get that's me, right? I'm not trying to change Texas to suit my own needs. I'm not going to sit around and wait for a shift of that magnitude to occur on its own. It's not going to happen. This is never going to be my home. I know that. I don't get cowboy culture. I don't get gun culture. I don't get church culture. I do get barbecue, but I'm not like obsessed with it the way I feel like I'm supposed to be as someone who has spent the majority of her life here. But if all of that is up your alley, then you will probably love it here. You'll still have to deal with insane weather. And really, it is worse than people from California apparently expect it to be. I intentionally planned my wedding for November because I didn't want my Canadian cousins to melt, and I didn't want to deal with humidity on my wedding day. And guess what? 100% humidity on my November wedding day in Texas. It just sucks here. The heat and humidity are so overwhelming that you can't go outside during the day for extended periods of time. Not that there's much to do out there anyway. They keep cutting down our trees to pave over more land, to build more cardboard houses and ugly strip centers with their minimum parking requirements, all of which only makes things even hotter than they already are. Walkability, never heard of it. Our disaster response is faulty, as you all probably know by now. Voting is a nightmare if you're a Democrat, which I hope you all know by now. There's no income tax, but those property taxes will get you. Also, there are fire ants in the grass. I actually stopped walking in grass barefoot when I moved from Connecticut to Texas. Grounding and connecting with the earth is only for the very brave and very strong here, and I will admit that I am weak. The only thing I can say I will genuinely, sincerely miss when I finally leave Texas is HEB, and if you don't know about HEB, it's not for you. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.